Sharks in the pool, that is not cool. I need the tools, take me to school. Feet first into this league, me first, that cannot be. Under the underdog, Monica G. Feeling a whole lot better suddenly. I get in with it, winning again. You're 1 and 2 in the bag, and I'm going for 3. That is the beat down. God of the best, so I keep. Now, y'all treading water for weeks. Now I'm the shark, so I eat. Now, look, I am not sorry. I understood the pump from which I started. And navigating these drafts is cathartic. So, thanks for the invite to party, yeah. Dynasty underdog bite down. Up at the day and the night. Now, easy as flying a kite. Now, come take a look at it right now. Dynasty underdog bite down. Up at the day and the night. Now, easy as flying a kite. Now, come take a look at it right now.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 172, Dynasty Underdog. I'm your host, Uriah Dawkins. With me tonight, Billy Beeman. What's up?
Not much. Discord got me cheesing before we're even on air here. Yeah. I'm excited to talk. I'm excited to chop it up.
Yeah, I didn't see the record button, so I was like, "We're recording, right?"
I'm on it. Don't you worry.
Of course you are. Cool. Let's just hop on some news and nonsense. Most of it's bad as usual, but we like to cover these things. So.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow played last Thursday. Yeah, the whole game just terrible. His season's over. He can't throw.
He can't throw. This week is the injury apocalypse, man. It's been absolutely terrible. Like, there's no doubt about it. I mean, players you've probably traded for, key pieces to your team, just absolutely devastating. But yeah, Burrow, top of the list for sure. One of the elite quarterbacks. It's disappointing. I mean, and it really, really hurts, players like Jamar Chase, even Joe Mixon, who, some were riding the touchdown wave through the season as he carried them on his low efficiency. But yeah, what can you say, man? I there was some talk about having an injury before the game, all that stuff. It doesn't really matter, but I don't think that's what happened. I think he just he hit his hand really hard, and yeah, it seems like broke his wrist. So yeah, it's a pretty rough go for Burrow, and yeah, I mean, all you can do as a dynasty manager is hold him. Like, people are going to try to buy low on him, and, and I'm sure it's tempting, but I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I just wanted quick things, but there probably are a ton of if you're contending, Joe Burrow probably wasn't the reason why. So there's probably not a whole lot of reason to panic there. Next one, same game. Mark Andrews, man, got his leg or ankle rolled up on, and his season is also over.
I'm muted. Okay, yeah. Mark Andrews is absolutely devastating to my 7 dynasty teams where I roster him.
I thought of you immediately.
Yeah, he's my highest rostered player. So yeah, it was really tough. I mean, most spots I have an Isaiah Likely, or I was, backing him up with a Kate Otten type or something like that. And I think that's just what you have to do as a manager of one of these elite tight ends, is back yourself up, because at the end of the day, anything can happen. So I don't feel too bad in most of the spots where I lost him, but what are you going to do? Again, it's like, bro, you lose an elite player, and you're not going to be able to replace that production 1-to-1 unless you go out and you spend some capital on a guy like George Kittle, which I did in one league. You got to be in a specific situation, I think. We'll talk about that during the trade section. But, man, yeah, losing Mark Andrews is just absolutely devastating and brutal, and every other synonym you can come up with for that. I hate it. But I will say, a lot of people coming after you. Same thing with Burrow, trying to buy low. They're trying to send you really just about anything. Get Mark Andrews plus for some of these younger tight ends, and I'm really not there yet. I mean, already the news turned around. We heard Harbaugh say that it's he potentially makes it back if they make a deep playoff run. Obviously, that's very out in left field. That's unlikely, I would say. But the fact that there's even that possibility means that the injury is not that serious. So what we're killing this, we loved Mark Andrews before, and now he had a foot injury and he's done, and he's not going to be the same player. I don't know. I don't see that. He's 28 years old. You know how long these guys can play, into their 30s. So I don't know. I just wouldn't be selling low at all on Mark Andrews. And it seems like there's a potential buy window depending on, what you have on your roster if you're not a contender, and you can kind of, get rid of some points, take back Mark Andrews plus. Like, there's opportunity, I think, to do it.
There is. I think that most people that would be panicking is if they didn't really have a really good second option. And I don't think anybody thinks Andrews is over. Maybe for the season, but not like his career or anything. Just, those points are hard to replace. So I think folks are trying to come up with options to replace those points while taking your Andrews share, which is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Next one, Kenneth Walker, oblique. Shout out to Jake for actually seeing it when it happened, but I didn't really tell like that was non-contact. I thought it was because of the contact he got hurt, maybe like lower extremities or whatever. But really good eyes on Jake. He saw Kenneth Walker kind of reach for his hip area right before he took contact. So he's going to be out for a while. They have an early game this week to play on Thanksgiving. He won't be in the lineup for that. Those who are watching live will get that. Those who hear this after the fact will be like, well, yeah, of course. But it sucks. But yeah, hey, Charbonnet, looked okay. The Seattle offense, I don't know what to think about it. But, this gives Charbonnet more opportunity to take over that role as they get further into the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he didn't have the best game. He was, utilized as a workhorse, I would say,
it's not very efficient.
Exactly. He wasn't very efficient, but he did have some good runs. I mean, he looks strong running, and he looks the part, in my opinion, AJ Charb season. Absolutely. Kind of bearing the lead here a little bit, Geno Smith suffers the elbow injury in that game.
Yeah, that's right.
Look, he came back late in the game, tried to put together the comeback drive, and almost had it, missed field goal. We'll see if he gets in there next week. You think because he got back in the game he would be in there, but you never know what they find when they do MRIs and all that. So something to look out for, especially with the pass catchers there. JSN continues to kind of get it together, but not really wow anybody. So I'm not really shying away from JSN or selling him or anything.
No,
I still think there's a buy window there for sure. But yeah, this whole Geno Smith issue could open up that window even more for some of these guys, including Charbs if the offense can't get it together for a week or two here.
Yeah. Next one, Cooper Kupp. This one happened pretty early in the game. It seemed like. Actually, I mean, the games were going by fast for me this weekend. I don't know why. As I was watching there, like time was just yeeting by. But Cooper Kupp, ankle, hate to see it. Older player, and he gets injured often. But when he's out there and he's healthy, Stafford's healthy, it's pretty damn good duo. So he didn't come back in the game. I don't know how severe it is, but maybe they're just trying to not make it worse than it is.
Did you happen to see how it occurred by any chance?
It looked like somebody stepped on his ankle.
They just kicked the back of his foot essentially, which would tweak anybody's ankle, obviously. So I don't know how severe it was. He was taped up back on the sideline running, and then we heard
running
today. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, sorry. He was testing it out. I should just say.
He was jogging a little bit. Yeah,
he was jogging, testing it out. McVay came out and said it's possible he doesn't miss any game time after that. So it's obviously thought to be less severe than most of his injuries have been thus far. So yeah, I mean, it's tough. He's an older guy, and I don't think this has anything to do with being old. It's wrong place, wrong time. It's almost like the Saquon injury where he came back from an injury and then steps on a guy's foot, and you're like, this guy's injury prone. But it's like they all are until they're not. The T Higgins is getting the label now too, and it's like, yeah, he is until he isn't, and then he's Keenan Allen all over again, and you have a guy who is 24 years old and a stud. So anyway, I digress. Kupp ankle sucks. Puka to the moon. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, let's go 2-2. Next one. This one is actually kind of sad because again, I don't really have a dog. 2-2.
Sorry.
I was thinking like the tutus that kids wear when they're going to the ballet. So I don't know.
Yes,
players.
It's the girl dad stuff. Girl dad stuff.
Yeah. You'll see. The next one, Devon Achane. It's kind of sad because like the whole fantasy community is just ready to, hey, he's back, he's healthy, let's see him go, and like immediately he went out with an injury, re-aggravated the knee that was bothering him, so they just pulled him from the game. And I don't have a dog in the fight because I don't have any H-hand, but it's one of those players you just kind of want to root for. Like I think we all wanted to root for him. Like, let's see what he could do, man. This kid's so fast, and he's going to break off another 60, 70-yard run, and just fizzled.
Yeah, and just another candidate to kind of knock off the size matters people out there, and we're hoping to see him come back. It's really unfortunate, but they try. I think both the player and I think there was word out that he wanted to come back, like he wanted to make a quicker recovery than not, and I'm sure both him and the team were kind of pushing to get him out there, and it sucks, man. Like, with these injuries, it's there's a chance to re-aggravate like that. It is what it is. You just hope that they give him, at this point, ride Raheem Mostert out, ride any of these other. I mean, I know they had a couple of injuries. I think to Jeff Wilson, I think he went out. I think Salvin Ahmed went out. So struggle bus for sure for them. But you got to ride these guys out and not bring him back too early again. So I have a share or two on a contending team. I'd love to see him come back, but at some level, I almost just want him to sit him and just let him heal up for next season, or playoff push, whatever it is, but not the fantasy season. That is,
at least a few more weeks just to make sure. And it sounded like in the presser from Mike McDaniel before the game started, I think it was on like a Saturday, and they were talking about A-Chain and what type of usage I think I mentioned this in the Discord, but the type of usage that they're going to plan to have for A-Chain. And he seemed to be very player conscious, player health aware, and said that he didn't really want to, hey, Salvon Ahmed to IR. Thanks, AJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounded like Mike McDaniel like he was very aware of player health at this point, which all of a sudden he cares about, which is cool. And I feel like he didn't want to have any sort of like, oh, he's going to play 40% of snaps, or we're going to have him out there for 15 carries. He didn't give a number at all because he didn't really want to put that on the kid. So it does seem like the head coach there cares a little bit about player safety. Probably after what happened to Tua last year, like he learned his lesson. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. Love the listeners have her back, man, with the info, keeping us informed.
And we're going to finish off with some good news
for us.
Matt Canada got canned. F that guy. Like, so glad he's gone. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say Kenny Pickett's otherworldly or whatever, but he's better than what we've seen. We've seen him be better. This is the first time I saw this, and I'm gonna paraphrase the best I can, but this is like first time that a coaching candidate, a head coach, defensive coordinator, head coach, whatever, offensive coordinator, has been canned in Pittsburgh in the season since like the 70s or some shit. Like,
wow,
it's been like a long time before this front office there in Pittsburgh would shit can a coach mid-season, but they did it to Matt Canada.
Historically bad.
Bad. Get him out of there. So, God, it can't get any worse.
I mean, Tommy DeVito's had more 2+ touchdown games than Kenny Pickett.
I know.
That can't happen. Like, I mean, just for the sheer fact that Tommy DeVito's played 2 games. Like, like, what are we doing here? Yeah, it's got to be better than this. Really hope that we see some improvement here, in every facet of the game. The run game, the pass game just needs to get better. So clearly the organization thought what everybody else was thinking the whole time. And it was, what the hell is this offensive coordinator doing? And what kind of scheme is this? And why aren't they helping this quarterback out? Because it just looks terrible out there and he can't be as bad as it looks. So yeah, hopefully it gets better from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah, boys, kind of seem Tomlin seems like every time that he's mentioned talk about Pickett, he's kind of always had Pickett's back this whole time, which is really good for confidence and all that. So I think there's just another way of him saying, hey, I don't think it's the kid. Let's get something else in here and really try to figure it out, which is what a good head coach would do.
Absolutely. All right. Before we hop into the before we hop into the what stood out, what did we learn for this past week? It's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. You might be listening to this on or after Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a good holiday with their family. But every year on here, we've talked a little bit about players we're thankful for, and we're going to keep it short this year. Just going to do one each real quick here. Just, fun activity. Just fun thought exercise, but go for it, Uriah. Who you got? One player you're thankful for.
Well, I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about this, but there are two I can think of.
Okay.
But I'm gonna keep it fun more than anything else. I'm gonna just go with Trey McBride because
I love that. That's a good one.
Because I have this. I'm eating this big L all the time with Quentin Johnson, and it bothers me that I had him ranked so high. But so just to kind of like negate all that, I was hyping Trey McBride before he came out, and then really riding him because Colorado State, Fort Morgan High School, Morgan County. I grew up there, and all he needed was a chance. And once he had the opportunity, he was behind Zach Ertz, Pro Bowl Zach Ertz. Once Zach Ertz was gone, McBride has just continued to eat. And that makes me feel good. It's like almost like, being proud of a kid, your own kid in a way that McBride is out there making me look good. Wow.
Absolutely. It's some vindication.
So, just a little bit of vindication. The kid's a stud. He's like the entire offense, and that's all he did in college. So I'm not surprised he's doing it right now.
See, I'm glad I didn't give you more time to think about this. It's better when it's organic, It's good. Okay, I like that one a lot. Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with the team that plays on Thanksgiving every single season. A guy on that team, on the Lions. I'm going to go with David Montgomery, man. I've talked. That
was my other guy. Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
He's one of the few guys who I have on a lot of my contending teams. I have him on 33% of my contenders, which feels pretty good. And he's a guy who I've bet on, I think, kind of against the market over the past couple years. I think I've defended Monty. You can go back and hear. I can remember a specific segment where I was railing against some people saying that he was not a good running back. He's a bad running back. He's ineffective in that Khalil Herbert is a better running back. I mean, we remember this narrative, right? In Chicago, where it was, let Khalil Herbert do it. He's the more explosive back. David Montgomery is nothing if not explosive. That's what he is. He is an explosive running back, and he's not a fast running back by any means, but he is explosive, I think. And we've seen him break off big plays this year. We've seen him do really incredible things and keep your teams afloat, your zero running back teams afloat. He was a great candidate for that this offseason. Very, very cheap. I got him near or in the double-digit rounds. So, just a guy who's really, really come through, I think, shut the haters up. And I love seeing a story like that. And I love being kind of one of the proponents of a guy like that over the years, and it work out. So, thankful for David Montgomery really smashing it this year. It's fun stuff.
Me too. In Console Wars, I had a chance to pick like the 104, and I traded down to 106. So I won't talk about who I took, but the compensation to move down three spots or whatever it was David Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
So I made the move for him there too. It didn't work out because my team sucks there, but whatever.
Yeah, but you could move Monty for something sweet right now. But even if not, he's under a 3-year deal. And he's probably going to be the same guy for the next couple of years. So it's a pretty good asset you got there.
Cool. Yeah, that was fun. Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Yep.
So what did we learn and what stood out? So, is Russell cooking? Is he finally cooking? Like, I don't know about like fantasy-wise. Like, I haven't really because I don't roster him anywhere. So it's really hard for me to pay attention to exactly what he's doing in the point total there. But the team's winning, and they're winning against good teams. Like 3 weeks in a row now, just like. Is it going to happen? Him and Sean Payton finally clicking?
That's hard to say, but I definitely think Russ is cooking. Like he's in his bag in moments, right? Like it's specific moments. I mean, you see in the game, specifically in this game, and it seems like all season long, it's at the end of halves or in those gotta have it moments, he's coming through, right? I said this in the Discord, like. There's something a little off. I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know what it is. They have a lot of good weapons. They should be a little bit more productive than they are. It feels like they get to the red zone a good deal. Don't always come away with a touchdown. So, that's both on Russ a bit and on Peyton and on the scheme and the other players. It's on everybody, right? For sure. But I mean, he has the ball in his hands. So there's something a little bit missing still. probably trying to find their way. It's a new head coach with a quarterback kind of duo, and they both are, strong-minded, really good at their jobs, and probably trying to both put forward what they're trying to do, right? What they want to do, and trying to kind of meet in the middle. So it might be some of that, but I think he's look, he's in the kitchen. The stove's on. All right. He's got the apron on. He's getting ready to cook if he's not cooking already. But right. Cortland Sutton is certainly on fire. Cooking. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He is the wide receiver one there, and he looks like it. He looks really, really good.
There's a reason why he was wide receiver one in his class.
Yep. I just want to say Russell Wilson, 17.2 points per game in fantasy. That's like, it's in the top 15, but it's not great, but it's definitely like keeping you afloat. You'd like to see him, have a little bit more upside there, and it may be, yet to come. It just might take some time with the new coaching staff and scheme. So we'll see what happens. But would you, on a contender right now, would you move your first for Cortland Sutton?
Hesitantly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hesitantly, yeah.
Okay, I'm just thinking. He's like wide receiver 42 right now in Dynasty. All right, yeah, you probably. Oh, that's interesting.
I sold him for a second before the season started. So,
Jaden Reed or Cortland Sutton?
Cortland Sutton.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you don't right now. I'm looking at Keep Trade Cut. He's sitting around a 2024 mid-second.
Okay.
He's 28 years old. Man, he seems like he's acquirable. That seems like something I'd be interested in a lot of spots. I'm kind of surprised that he's not getting a little bit more love. Okay. Interesting.
All right. Next one. The box score doesn't show entirely, but is Rondell Moore alive with Kyler? He was taking deep shots on him. I think he missed him once. He got him for like a 48-yard snag and a touchdown. They're using him as a rusher a little bit more. Scoring points, kind of like to see it. Obviously, the next guy, Trey McBride, doing his thing there. But Kyler Murray coming back, this offense has shifted a little bit, and are you ready to be in on Rondell Moore?
No, I don't think so. He caught one pass, and then Greg Dortch caught the rest of them. Like I don't know what they're doing over there. But also Michael Wilson was out. When Michael Wilson comes back, I'm sure the distribution of targets will be a little different, and maybe Rondell Moore just like exclusively in the slot is like what needs to happen, and maybe Greg Dortch taking some of that was like the issue this week. He definitely has some upside, but like. I don't know. I just think he's one of those more gadget type players. Like I don't see him ever being super consistent. So I mean, I don't even know. Like would you take a third for him? Probably not. Would you send a third for him? Probably. Like it's one of those weird situations like that he's in the middle there. So I don't know. I'm not in love with Rondell Moore. I'm a little bit more worried about Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
Marquise Brown pants. Like he has been doing absolutely nothing. He's been stinky. I don't know. I guess it's probably just going to take some time with him, and he's probably a buy candidate if we had to be honest. Maybe you can snag him for a second round pick plus like a role player or something on your team. That'd be kind of the idea there. But Kyler is definitely struggling in the passing game. Like he does not look great in the passing game. Like there's no two, and he never, in my opinion, he never has. And I know that he's always put up QB1 numbers and yada yada yada, and he's looked good for fantasy. But I don't know, maybe he's just rusty, which is to be expected.
Yeah.
Before we move on, real quick, AJ here is Sutton the Monty of wide receiver, tutty dependent, but keeps getting them. Yeah, I mean, kind of, yeah. I think that's a pretty apropos comp. I like that one.
It's fun.
Yeah.
All right. Digs in the dirt. We talked about McBride, so we can move on to that one. Yes. Digs in the dirt. Offense running through Kincaid. Offense, man. I know you're into EPA and all that stuff, and how important it is to kind of look at But you look at Josh Allen's EPA, the whole team itself is it's good. Josh Allen's doing fine. Like they just keep losing.
They just beat the crap out of the Jets, like, and they're getting like shade for it too. It's hilarious. They're like, well,
I know
this offense looks terrible. Like,
it's just the record is terrible. Going to be lucky to make the playoffs, and it just I don't know what it is. Diggs is not happy there. I don't understand exactly why he's not happy. He's like leading the team in targets, right? I mean, basically,
the past 2 weeks he hasn't been. It's been pretty rough for him.
Maybe if he would change his little attitude, he'd get the ball more often. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Yeah, the squeaky wheel does get the oil, but after a while, you just get a new wheel.
I mean, he's always been a squeaky wheel, though. He's always been a diva. I mean, you're right, though. Past 2 games, he had 5 targets at Denver and 8 targets playing the Jets. Only 3 and 4 catches in either of those games. So the production's not there. The targets are right; they're there, but also those are 2 pretty tough matchups. But he should be able to beat those matchups. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they definitely seem to be more like since they moved on from Ken Dorsey, they definitely seem to be playing slightly more conservative. Kincaid's targets are all short area targets, not much downfield. And just speaking of Dalton Kincaid a little bit, like I don't see the yards after catch ability, and like the numbers bear it out a little bit. Like he's on the lower end of the yards after catch per attempt compared to like the other elite tight ends. If I'm looking at those kind of guys, and when I watch it, like I don't see him really have that elite movability after the catch. He's good. He catches the ball great, and he gets yards. Like I'm not saying he doesn't do that, but I don't see him like really getting away from guys and doing some of the stuff we see these other guys do. Maybe he'll develop that as he goes along. They're definitely intent on getting him involved often. So I mean, he's a great option this year. I don't know if it's always going to be this way. Like they're running 2 tight end sets a lot, and they're running it kind of like I said, short area and through their tight ends, and I think trying to limit the mistakes for Allen. I just think to win the games they need to in this league, they're going to need to get it downfield a bit more on the better teams. Like I did say they beat the crap out of the Jets, and they did. But at some point, they just packed it up, and they bench Zach Wilson, and they don't have anything that can score. So what happens? We've seen what happens when other teams can put up points. You got to get the ball downfield, and you got to get to your playmakers, and it's not always going to work through Kincaid this way, I don't think.
Next one, Jaylen Warren. I love what you wrote. You said he is what Najee wishes he was. It's like that. I just seen that clip from that bowler, and he gets that strike, and he's like, I'm. You are. I am what you think you are. Something like that. It's like not. Jalen's out here being like, "Hey, Najee, this is what a good running back looks like." Just
I am.
Who you think you are? I am.
That's exactly Jaylen Warren. Yeah, you're right.
And so he looks great. Here's a question: do you think he could trade? Not that I don't think anybody would actually do this, but given draft capital, name, and all that stuff, would you think you could get Jaylen Warren for Najee straight up?
Yeah, probably, especially if it's not a team like in contention. I think that could definitely get done because people are so out on Najee. They're just kind of over it. Actually, I just traded for Najee this week in a league.
Do you think you could do it the other way? Do you think you could trade your Najee for Jaylen?
Oh, that's what I thought you meant. Like that's what I think can happen. Trading Jaylen for Najee, like. Anybody's going to take Jaylen over Najee right now, I think, like pretty easily. So I think you could definitely get that done. I think trying to get rid of your Najee for Jaylen would be more difficult.
Rough, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing this trade I forgot down because I do want to talk about it, and it's the. Oh my God, I got to remember the Alabama running back that this is. Anyway, sorry. yeah, dude, Jalen Warren looks great. He looks explosive. Najee is clearly frustrated and is not nearly as explosive right now. But I'm really hoping that with this change in coordinator, maybe just the scheme changes a bit where they can maybe get Najee in some more beneficial situations where he can take advantage of his skill set. Because I do think Najee Harris is a good running back. I do think that he is good at making people miss in tight windows. I think he's really strong. I think that he can gain yards in between the tackles. I do think so. And I think they want to use him that way. He's a goal line back. They're going to use him on the goal line when they get there. And I'm hoping that they can get there more often with the change of coordinator.
All right.
Pickett sucks.
We know that. We'll see. We got Matt Canada's fired, so we'll see what happens. We'll revisit that one.
Hopefully, he doesn't suck as much as Matt Canada makes him suck.
All right. Calvin Ridley. I like this. Bet the over on his receiving yard prop when Zay Jones is on the field. Yeah, absolutely. You posted like the information in the Discord today about it, but like it's just been noticeable that when Zay's been active, Ridley's been eaten, and when he's been gone, Ridley's kind of been disappeared. So if you have Ridley on any of your teams, pray for a healthy Zay.
I like the only one I need to mention here, and this was looking at their splits when Calvin Ridley plays when Zay Jones hasn't, and when Calvin Ridley plays when Zay Jones has. So there's 10 games in this sample total. There's 4 games in which they played together, 6 which they didn't. In the 4 games they played together, Calvin Ridley has averaged 20.3 fantasy points per game, PPR points. In the games that he hasn't played with Zay Jones, 7.5. Like, that is
crazy.
A ridiculous gap.
Yep.
And it's hard to explain because I actually went to look on, I went and looked at PFF to look at the slot percentage, slot numbers, just looking at kind of where he's lined up when Zay Jones isn't there, when he is there. And maybe there's a slight uptick in his slot usage when Zay is there because they feel like they can put Zay on the outside a little bit and kind of, maneuver them around. But even it was a couple percentage points. And this week he was in the slot, Ridley specifically was in the slot less than he had been prior weeks without Zay. So it wasn't that. And I've heard people kind of mention that. I don't think that's what it is. It may be as simple as, Zay Jones is pretty solid and he takes some coverage away and Ridley is kind of able to take advantage of, these matchups and mismatches in these games. I also know that there was, there's something going around about the defenses they're playing and that the matchups that he's facing have been extremely difficult. And there's the couple that have been less difficult, he's been able to take advantage of. So I've seen some of that going around too. That may be part of it, that he's just had some really, really bad matchups and the team hasn't been at full strength at the time, that they're playing in those matchups. So there's something going on there with Zay Jones, but whenever he's in the game, you want to play Calvin Ridley. So just make sure you peep that. Zay Jones playing today, Calvin Ridley's going in my lineup.
Absolutely. Yeah, I subbed him in the Scott Fishbowl, with 5 minutes to go over a kicker. I'm like, well, let's just write it out. And he had an amazing game. Made the playoffs in Scott Fishbowl, by the way. So.
Oh, congrats. I got absolutely hammered this year with injuries. So honestly, A-Rich did it to me. If A-Rich stayed around, I think it would have been a run. But good. Keeping it alive for us. You got to keep the representation going, bro.
Right. All right. I don't even want to ask this one, but yeah, is Justin Watson a target hog?
Hey, the Discord asked this question too. Should you go be aggressive on the waiver wire, like going and getting Justin Watson? 14 targets, I think he had. 14.
I know, but look, if he's on if he's on waivers, just go for it. Have a day. Spend the rest of the money you have and hope and pray. That's all I got.
Sure. No, I think I'm there with you. Look, there, if you're, and I said this, it matters the setup of your league in terms of roster limits, but it's got to be near 30. And then I imagine the waiver wire is thin anyway. So yeah, if he's on your waiver wire at this point in the season, there's probably not much else. Go ahead, go hard for him. Maybe we're lucky and he ends up being something, but I think he's 27, 28 years old. This, it's not about to be Adam Thielen all of a sudden. I don't know. That's not going to happen. I don't think so. Not at this late of a stage of his career.
Next one, Tommy DeVito waxed the Commanders. Hey, that's cool. I love when two NFC East teams are just beating the shit out of each other because I don't like either of them very much. Tommy DeVito, do you think he's a thing? Do you think he sticks around, or is he just there to steer the ship till it crashes at the end of the year?
Yeah, kid can sling it. Like, he's got an arm. It's interesting. Yeah, it's weird. I guess we got to see it on a larger sample. Got a couple more games to see if he'll stick around. He might just be, one of those better backups that floats around the league from here on out. Not better backups, but a backup. Might have found a backup that can play. But yeah, I'd be shocked if we have something more than that here. But certainly worth rostering in deep dynasty leagues.
Yeah. He can't even fold his own laundry.
Oh yeah, dude, the story that his mom makes. The whole time I was thinking about
chicken tendies. Yeah.
He lives with his parents. His mom makes it. Yada, yada, yada. Like, this kid probably has brought girls home to the house, right?
Oh, well, for Bible study.
Yeah. Okay. Like, I'm just like he's like they're like you live with your parents. He's like, yeah, but I'm on the Giants. Like, it's like, bro, what is this? Like, oh my, I couldn't even imagine. Bro.
I'm a little jealous. I won't lie.
No, yeah, I feel it. Like, I would like all my shit taken care of too. But go get an apartment or something, bro. Live life. Like, do something.
Live life.
What are we doing here?
All right. QJ still sinks. Yeah, he missed a ball his hands, and then he opened them up like, where's the ball? It's like, well, if you once you have the ball in your hands, and if you squeeze the left hand against your right hand and the object that's in it, you'll likely hold on to it. Instead of just like, it's not hot potato. Like,
the Chargers need to hire Uriah, clearly. Somebody needs to teach this guy how to catch the ball. Like, what are we doing here?
I don't understand. And what I'm finding out here is I think maybe because I see all this, because it's all coming to fruition now. Everybody has their receipts. And it seems like a lot of the film guys are like, we've been told you, he's got a lot of drops and this and that and the other. Well, I didn't watch his film, okay? I didn't watch his film. I didn't have to. I should have, probably. But, yeah, he sucks. I don't know if he's going to be fixable.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, this is stuff that we talked about during the prospect profiling season. Like, it came up on the film when I watched it. It was there. I wasn't completely out on him. I had one share across my 13 leagues, so I guess that means I wasn't completely out, but I certainly wasn't trying to go and bet the house on him. I was absolutely looking more towards the Zays and the Addisons, and there was reason for that. I mean, when you have these issues in terms of tracking the ball and being able to secure the ball, that's concerning. You shouldn't be having those issues, at the end of your collegiate career, no matter how gifted you are. And obviously we get lured in by the size and the speed and all that, but definitely another cautionary tale to, when you hear these things, go out and peep it for yourself. Make sure you kind of check out the tape for yourself. You don't have to do it for every prospect, but like when you see these red flags, hear these red flags, and you're like, I don't want to believe that, you need to go and check it for yourself and make sure that, there's something there and that you aren't betting, putting all your chips on this one guy. And I don't think Uriah even did that. Like, he had maybe one or two shares and doesn't anymore. So, you adjust quickly, but it's also, you kind of go into it knowing that there's risk involved and that you don't want to, have him across all of your dynasty leagues. So yeah, I think we hedged our bets and made sure that we were kind of fair about that analysis there.
Yep.
But now he stinks. That's the fair analysis.
He does stink. I'm still rooting for him. Like, and as soon as he has like a breakout game, like 6 catches, 120 and 2 dubs or something like that, I'm gonna be like, I told you.
Yeah, right. Like, he looked disappointed when he was like, what the hell? I didn't catch his ball. Like, he knew it, but like, he did not look as disappointed as like I needed him to look, to be honest with you. Like, he should be dejected. Like, what? Like, I need to go back and hit the jugs machine. Like send me on the sideline now and send me the jugs machine. That's it. Like, rest of the game. Don't even let me play the game. Like, I can't even, like, I'm telling you, I'm super confident I would catch that pass. Like, I'm going to play in the Turkey Bowl on Thursday, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to catch a pass just like that. But like, I would, like, bro, that pass was like, I'm sorry, I'm sticking on this point, but that was disrespectful to Justin Herbert, straight up. Like, the pass was so on point, and to win the game, and he, like, you could see how dejected what's it called? Herbert was. Like, it was just,
Mhm.
it was so bad. It was, yeah, that's terrible, man. That whole team,
Like, I'm never throwing to this guy again.
get him off the field, dude. Holy crap.
All right. Fallen King Henry.
It's not looking good
I
for,
mean,
for King.
yeah, Fallen King. Derrick Henry. It just, you kind of see it happen, slowly. The workload and the age and all that, it's kind of to be expected. He looks a little bit slower. Defenders don't look as scared to tackle him as they used to be. I don't think he's stiff-armed even one dude this year. It's sad to see because he's one of the last, like, I don't know, in a way, special kind of running backs that we had. Nick Chubb going down earlier this year, Derrick Henry, like those are real men, right? Running the ball, and one's injured and the other one is just washed.
Yeah, it's the curse of the 300 touches, right? Like, it
Yeah.
seems to be kind of nipping at the heels of Josh Jacobs and 300. I'm sorry, not touches, but 300 carries. But yeah, no, it's not just Henry, to be honest. Like, Henry's had some good games this season, and I can confirm there's been at least one stiff arm. I've seen it.
Right.
But
All
he's
right.
had some explosive and long runs, but he's playing behind what is like the 30th to the 32nd worst offensive line in the league. So it's hard to be successful no matter how good you are when the guys in front of you can't really block, or at least not effectively. So, he's having trouble because of that, and the whole offense is having difficulty because they can't block in general, but they can't establish the run at all, which in turn they can't get Levis going, really. So, we've seen, we can turn the page here a little bit. Like, with Derrick Henry, I don't know. Well, actually, let's stop there. Would you sell Derrick Henry right now for an early second round pick?
Yeah.
If like a contender had like a couple extra seconds from some schlub, send it over, right? Like, give me the second.
Yeah. I try to get like 2 seconds, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I've
that
seen
makes
it
sense.
done.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it's going to be really hard to stretch a first off of somebody. Maybe if Henry had like 2 weeks here and you don't have a deadline or a late deadline in your league, you could swing it. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Turning the page. Yeah, no, I agree. Turning the page to Levis real quick. I just thought it was so funny because, I think there was a lot of conversation going on when he had that 4 touchdown game in our Discord, in the DFF Discord, like, and on Twitter, there was like, I'm buying him for 2 first, or like, we buying Levis for 2 mid first. We doing this? We doing that? Yeah. Right? Like, Levis, don't be late on Levis. If you're late, he's going to be more than that. And now it's like, I'd maybe I'd maybe send a first for Levis, right? Like, how quick the tides turn. I mean, he was up in the 40s in keep trade cut dynasty rankings, like some crazy stuff. So I guess just kind of now that we've come back to earth a little bit here, where are you at on Levis? Like, what would you be willing to send in terms of 2024 picks for Will Levis? I keep saying Will Levis. I don't know. What is it? I don't even know. Will
I
Levis?
think it's Levis, but
Levis?
Doesn't matter. Right. We can say whatever we want.
It's true. It's our show.
It's our show. It's our show. Damn it. This is my hour. All right. I don't know about straight up picks, but I could see maybe like a guy who is cooking, Russ. Maybe if you are kind of rebuilding and believe, maybe you could sell your Russ and get Levis. And you might be able to get a little bit on top of that. Might be able to do it straight up just for the points, something like that. But if you could send just picks, like someone's still going to want a first for him. So,
yeah.
I'm not buying, and if that's, what you're asking.
I don't know. Maybe a late first if I had a couple, like, in a specific situation where I was trying to fill that third role and could, maybe hope for some upside with him. Like, maybe I'd be willing to do that there. I'm trying to think. Like, I think I would love to turn a Sam Howell or something into a Will Levis, because I don't believe in Sam Howell at all long term. I think I know exactly what he is. No. I'm not sure I know what Will Levis is yet. Like he could be really good if they get their shit together, if the O-line gets sorted, whatever. Like I think that he could be something that Sam Howell can't be. Like I think Sam Howell is like Ryan Fitzpatrick but young,
Sure.
And Will Levis has a little bit more upside in my opinion. Levis, and we'll end it there.
All right, so that's what we learned.
We don't know what to think about Will Levis. That's what we learned. Okay.
Not,
or how to say his name.
I don't need to have an opinion on him right now. Not a strong one at least.
That's true. Like you don't. And like he's not going to be a difference maker on a team. So he's all projection in my opinion. So it's all about kind of what are you willing to kind of bet on him and what do you think he can be, and that's a wide range of outcomes.
All right, so this next little topic, let's hit on it. The anatomy of a contender. Strategies that constant contenders use. This is good just to kind of look at like the contending teams in our leagues and some of the things that stand out as far as things that contenders do year in and year out, and maybe what will change your play a little bit. This first one is really good. Most active players or most active managers, and I think that's true. Most contending teams I see across all my leagues are from managers who are constantly picking up waivers, trying to make trades, sending tons of offers, and really that's one of the only ways to improve your roster. You can't just draft and let it chill and marinate. If you do that, you end up with a bunch of mid teams, which I've seen, and I actually have had a couple of my own. So definitely being more active, I think, is huge key to building a contending roster.
Yeah, there's not much more to say about that. It's just you got it. Like I always talk about is, being one of the more high volume trade offer managers in your league. You want to be constantly sending trade offers that are only to improve your team. I'm not saying to just be, trade happy and just trade to trade. That's not what you're doing, but you're always, with the goal of improving your team, sending out offers and doing it over and over and over again and trying to make these deals because you can overwhelm and you can outwork people. So, the more active you are, the better, because other people are resting on their laurels, and that's just not something you can do when other people are being active. It doesn't work. So that's a huge one. I think one that I try to apply a lot and one that I see more successful dynasty players utilize is an unbiased approach, right? And it's easier said than done for sure. But it is pretty simple, right? It's not letting your fandom get in the way. It's not letting your love for a player get in the way, for a school, for whatever it is, get in the way of gaining value or improving your team, right? Like, as much as I love AJ Brown, if somebody wants to send me, 3 elite assets for AJ Brown and I'm contending, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make that happen. I'm not going to shy away from sending players that I really enjoy having on my rosters to secure a title. I'm not going to let a player evaluation from early on in the prospect profiling process kind of sway me from adjusting in the future, right? I'm not going to have take lock. I'm not going to do those kind of things. And I'm going to be really, really fair when I look at a player and evaluate him and not be like, because I'm the one evaluating him or because he has this skill or whatever it is. It's almost trying to completely eliminate any outside factors whatsoever other than what the values are and working off of just that and taking advantage of the other people who are allowing these other factors to seep into their evaluations, right? That's really where, it comes into play. It's like you can control yourself completely, but you need to then recognize where the other people aren't controlling those biases and take advantage of them.
Well said.
Okay, this next one goes kind of along with the unbiased approach, but it's being a market manipulator. And it's again recognizing those market inefficiencies, right? Where people like a player they shouldn't, and that, right? Or the NFL landscape, and that this guy's just, it's not going to cut it. This is just a couple week hype train that people are losing their minds over. It's a player that's just a fill in, whatever it is, and you're going to take advantage of that. So it's being able to manipulate your opponents and your league mates to believe whatever narrative you want them to believe, or let them keep believing, and utilize that against them.
Absolutely.
And so, the best ones are able to recognize those inefficiencies and take advantage.
Next one's pretty good. Talent evaluators. And I know a lot of people don't want to do the extra work. I think I find it fun, and it's a way for you to actually get familiar with these players before you draft them, based off of somebody else's rankings or list, which you could totally do. Like if there's people that you trust and their evaluations, you could totally use the rankings all the time. And I think that's probably what the majority of people do. But just taking the time to look at players' peripherals before they enter the league, and once they start in the league, and maybe watch some film, maybe. And I think that those kinds of players are generally, or at least a lot of the dynasty players I know are like really into football, and aren't just playing another form of fantasy because they're really into fantasy football. I find that the guys that are keyed in when it comes to alma maters, the college landscape, and front offices, head coaches scheme, and all those other types of things that go into the whole football picture, I find those guys tend to do a little bit better.
Yeah, like you absolutely nailed some of the points I wanted to touch on. And I think both the talent evaluators and possessing league knowledge, NFL league knowledge is
Yes.
super underrated and super important. And obviously being able to evaluate talent is a unique skill and a learned skill, and pieces and parts of the skill are somewhat of an art, and like understanding what you're looking for and looking at. And it's not that easy. And it's funny. I was listening to Late Round podcast, JJ Zachariason's podcast. He has Late Round Perspectives every week now, which is incredible. Without it's just such a good piece of his podcast stream. And what it is like an hour-long show where he goes on with a guest, and he brings on great guests, of course, because he's big time and knows everybody. But he brought on Ben Gretsch recently, who is a fantastic content creator. I think he's worked for CBS for a while, and now he's somewhere else. I forgot where he is, but he brought up this concept of tacit knowledge, right? And I think it's super important in what we're talking about here. It's almost describes exactly what we're talking about here, but tacit knowledge is skills, ideas, and experiences that are possessed by people, but are not codified and may not necessarily be easily expressed, right? And I think that explains a lot of the people we're talking about, their knowledge, and how I would probably describe my knowledge of the league and of evaluation skills. It's hard to describe part of how those were gained, because some of it is just loving football so much, you just watch it so much, you just understand the league and the setup and the landscape and what is going on and what they're looking for. And if you just keep up with it like we do, you'll continue to kind of understand that. And it does give you an edge over others who are just playing from the edges, who are, they love the NBA and they love baseball and they're just playing dynasty football because they like it too. Like someone who is just so focused on dynasty football and so into it is going to have that advantage, because they know more about the league and about, the schemes and what coaches want from players and all the little tiny details that you may not know. And while you will hit on the 80% that everybody else will, we're going to hit on the 85 or 90%, and we're going to get that extra 5 to 10%. And those are going to be the edges that we take away from the tacit knowledge and from these little bits and pieces that we have as evaluators and, league historians in some respect, however you want to kind of describe us, not obviously on a broader scale, but, in smaller ways. So, the talent evaluators, the people who really do the work there, the people who really focus on the league and the landscape, I think do better and are the ones who are parts of the anatomy of a contender. I think they're very important parts of the anatomy of a contender.
All right.
Okay, now that I've really just yapped on for a bit, before we finish this off and go to some trades and non-trades as we always do, I did want to touch on something really quick here. This was not a ton of work, so I don't feel bad about running through it really quick, but I put together, we have 3 Dynasty Underdog listener leagues, some really sharp players, and look, every league has a taco. We got some tacos in there too. Oh, yeah. It's okay though. It's they're all trying and they're all giving us a run for our money, but we have some really sharp players. So I thought it would be interesting to look at the top 3 teams in each league, because I think the top 3 teams are generally the more steady contenders, not really like the, just overperforming expectation contender type teams. What do we have here, AJ? Holistic knowledge is the best approach for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. And so for this segment, what I did, I wanted to see kind of if there were any similarities in terms of player rostership across the 3 leagues, looking at the 3 top contenders.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting, first of all, was that there wasn't as much crossover as I thought, right? So we're looking at 9 teams in total, and there wasn't more than 3, a player owned on 3 teams. So there wasn't a player that was owned on 4 teams. There wasn't a player on 5. It was just the most was 3 teams owned the same player, which I thought was kind of interesting, and which made me think, again, which I already know, but it highlights that you can build a contender in almost any way. Like, you can build a championship winning team in many, many different ways. It will not look the same in any league, and it doesn't always have to have the same players. But I will say, looking at this, interesting, 3 players at the top here owned by 3 teams, 33% rostership: Raheem Mostert, Travis Kelce, and Keenan Allen. These old dogs are still running the show, all right? If you want to contend, you cannot do it without veterans. That's what I think. That's 100%. What I'm highlighting here. You cannot do it without veterans. These guys were not Travis Kelce, but Keenan Allen has been left for dead for years. Okay, and Raheem Mostert, I got him for a third last year. All right,
and that was probably like an overpay in some people's minds.
It was right. It was exactly. So
I wouldn't have sent a third for him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was super interesting. I'll just touch on a couple other players here. Jonathan Taylor on 2 of the contenders. Devin Singletary on 2 of the contenders. Very interesting. Jalen Hurts on 2. Joshua Dobbs on 2. That's probably all that's worth highlighting. But there's a lot of ways to build a contender. It's not, don't let anybody tell you it's exactly this way, no other way, and these players and no other players. But I think if you're going to contend and you're going to win a championship, you're going to need to give up a little bit of dynasty value and make sure that you have some of these aged veterans on your team. And also, there's going to be some unexpected guys. Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, right? It's worth investing in some of those later, with Devin Singletary, and Raheem Mostert, there's very clear reasons why you want to roster these guys. They're cheap, and they're on a team that wants to use them in their scheme. And if there's an injury, they're going to be studs. And look what happens here. There's an injury to what's his name in Houston, to
Dameon
Pierce. And it really, it was Devin Singletary was already stepping on his toes. That he might have kicked him in the shin and just been my team.
He's having a career year now.
Now he's having a career year. So, part of, you're not always going to get it right. Part of it's taking chances, but it's noticing these market inefficiencies, noticing, these guys. I got Devin Singletary 2 weeks ago for a 4th round pick. This wasn't Raheem Mostert a year ago. So it applies now. It applies in the moment. It's not just, hindsight 2020. It's being able to see these things, understand what teams are doing, understand what could happen, the range of outcomes, and taking shots on some of these things in a calculated way, calculated aggression. Yeah, I've used this in gaming and stuff like that before. Being too aggressive doesn't really get you anywhere. if you're too aggressive, you'll just make a lot of mistakes. You need to have calculated aggression. You need to know when to be aggressive, and you need to calculate the right moments. And I think that's what I'm describing here. So yeah, that's all.
Love it. Also, I mean, my math might be funky, but isn't like 3 the most that any player could show up on here because there's 3 leagues? Single copy.
Yes.
Yeah,
that is.
It's 100%.
Yes. Okay.
It's okay. I get what you're trying to say. 3 is the most.
Yes.
I mean,
no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I totally read that wrong. Wow.
Point still stands.
Yeah. No. But that's good. That's actually interesting though. That even better that those players are rostered on a contender in every single league.
Every single contender in every single league has Raheem Mostert, Kelsey,
Travis Kelsey,
Fournette, Keenan Allen, Latavius. I mean, Fournette and Latavius aren't really doing anything for you, but the other 3, that's the most it could possibly be.
Yeah. So my point's even stronger at the end of this.
It is.
So,
yes.
Lovely. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Okay, let's finish it off with some trades and non-trades. We got some good
trades and non-trades. Let's get out of here. All right. This one is Console Wars. I've been trying to move those players I acquired, and like I finally feel like I'm almost at a break even. I'm doing good. This deal for me was amazing to get done. So, and it was one I actually went back and forth a bunch of times, which I don't typically do. I won't get into all the details of what was offered before, but what I landed on was Derrick Henry and the Tony Pollard. I sent out for a 24 first and 2 24 seconds.
I mean, if we were just having this conversation about Derrick Henry, and it's like, I'd take 2 seconds for him. So you got that, and then you got a 24 first for Tony Pollard. Dude, like Tony Pollard is not going to be worth a first next year. Like he's not. Like,
I don't think so either.
I just don't think so. So I think you got it. This is and I don't even think it's a trade you lose now and win in 6 months, but it's a trade that I think you win now and win in 6 months. So
I think so.
I really love what you did here, and I told you it was going to be work to move those players that you got. But I agree with you. I think that with this deal, you've almost done it. Like you may need to make one more move, maybe one more move. And do you still have Josh Jacobs?
I do.
Okay.
Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery are kind of guys I'm thinking about. So, Josh Jacobs is one of the ones in the trade.
Monty might be the hold of this group. Jacobs, I think you need to work on moving, and if you can move him for first-ish plus value, like if you get something like that done before the end of the season, you're going to feel so great about that original deal and what you were able to do. So
that's the plan. So we'll see. I still have Dalvin Cook, but I can't. What are you going to do?
Yeah, listen, look, this is everybody. This is an example of how to churn your roster and turn it around quickly in a year or two. If Uriah can do that and build up a couple first, second round picks and have that this year, I've seen what you can do in this league, and you can really maneuver around the rookie draft, gain some extra value now, next year, and you can really play the board. I think you can. I think you can make something happen here with that roster. That's fun.
Next one was in DU league. I think DU 2. I don't remember. Doesn't really matter, but you got Ty Chandler, James Conner, DK Metcalf for 25 second. Oh, plus a 25 second for 2 times 25 firsts. Obviously, somebody's going to be rebuilding. The other guy's contending. If you're contending, are you going to pick up Ty Chandler, Connor, Metcalf? Pick up a second. Are you going to send off 2 25 firsts for that?
Man, I don't want to send off 2 25 firsts for that package.
It's a little steep, but I get it.
I'd almost rather just go after Metcalf, send one of these firsts, and maybe try to get like the second attached only, or Chandler attached only, or I don't even know. Like obviously Connor's useful, but man, I don't think that package is worth 2 25 firsts personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who won or lost it. I love that the person that got Metcalf was able to get the second back. So it stings a little less, but hopefully this is, we're buying points here. So hopefully these points are what it takes to solidify the playoff run.
I mean, I'm not mad about the Metcalf part of this at all. Like I think acquiring Metcalf is fine. Like he's young
absolutely.
enough. He's a stud. Like I don't see any issue with that. It just feels like you're trading a first for James Conner and Ty Chandler and not. I don't even know if the second, like maybe the second. Like it, but I don't know. I don't love that part of it. So hopefully it turns out good for him. Hopefully he makes a playoff run and makes some money this year, because I think that'll be what it takes to feel good about this.
All right, next one.
Next one. This was something that was sent to me. This is a non-trade, but
Okay.
This is what I was talking about. People trying to take advantage of the Andrews injury.
Absolutely.
Somebody tried to come after my Mark Andrews, sending Dalton Kincaid for Mark Andrews plus a second, plus a third, and plus a fourth. I could be wrong. It might have been a fourth and a fourth, but I don't think that matters. Kincaid for Andrews plus a second, plus, let's say, 2 fourths.
No. I'm glad it's a non-trade. Would you have done it if it had been the picks on the other side? Would you have traded Andrews for Kincaid the second, third, and fourth?
I don't.
Because
like
that seems like a trade.
And it does
seem like a trade that could get done, right? That's more realistic.
It's definitely a trade that could get done and that other people would do. I happen to solve this issue on this team because I'll talk about the other deal that I have on here, actually. It's the next one on here. But instead of doing that, I solved the situation by holding Mark Andrews and trading my 25 first and third for George Kittle. And I feel much more comfortable with that because I know exactly what George Kittle is. He's an elite tight end asset. He always has been. He has the yak ability. We've been seeing it the past couple weeks. He's getting the targets, scoring the touchdowns. He takes short passes, short targets, and turns them into long gains. And I haven't seen that at Kincaid yet. And so for me to get rid of a guy like Mark Andrews, who is exactly all the things I'm talking about that I want a tight end to be, and take a chance on Kincaid, who I don't personally believe in that much, it just doesn't feel as good as kind of doing what I did here and being able to continue on my title run and hold on to Mark Andrews. So definitely situational. I can't kill you for trading Mark Andrews for Kincaid plus a second and stuff, but I wouldn't do it, I guess. That's just where I'm at.
Cool.
By the way, I thought adding the fourths was like just disrespectful. Like, bro,
Yeah,
you're already asking for Mark Andrews in a second. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not getting it. Just so you know. No. Not for me. Okay. Here's another one I had. This actually happened pre-cup injury. Of course, this is a Devy league, and I traded a second round pick and Mike Williams for Cooper Kupp. How do you feel about it post ankle injury?
It's fine. It's a Devy second, and Mike Williams. I mean, I like Mike Williams, always have. But when Kupp is healthy and Stafford's healthy, he's just a game changer. Mike Williams has never actually been a game changer for your team. So, yeah, I'd do it. Hopefully Kupp comes back sooner rather than later.
Yep. Okay, this was DU3. I think I'm going to make the playoffs no matter what, actually, because our third spot in each division is decided by points, and I'm pretty well ahead in that regard. So I think this is helping me out. But I see myself as somewhat of a contender here, trying to take a run at it. Felt I needed an extra piece. Jake actually happened to lose, I think, Joe Burrow and his other quarterback. I forgot. He lost like he might not even have a starting quarterback on his roster right now. So he's like, I'm out. I'm trading, guys. And I said, all right, give me Keenan Allen and I'll send you a 24 first and a 24. I think it was just a 24 first straight up is what I offered him. And he came back with a 24 third. I was going to haggle, but I was like, you know what? This is probably fair value. So I'll accept it. So what do you think? A 24 first and third for Keenan Allen?
I think it's great value for both players.
I do too.
Yeah, I think it's if you get a first plus for Keenan Allen, like that's really good. And then if you could secure a player points that Keenan Allen's scoring right now, it's going to be a late first. You're not going to win this league, 'cause I am, but it's Look at the rankings, but no. But yeah,
Coming
no,
after your ass.
this is a great trade. And it actually makes me think I might need to go and try to grab one more piece there too, just to keep up.
Yeah. One more piece is never enough, I'm telling you, bro, because then you're always gonna need that one more.
We'll
And
see.
That's how I'm feeling right now. But
See if I get the first one for free.
Yeah, no, I feel
that's a great trade. I hate when you make good trades in leagues I'm in with you, which almost all my leagues are with you somewhere. But
it's fun
almost.
though, right? It's a challenge, bro. No, it's funny. I think the same thing whenever I see you, Jake, Josh get a deal done. I'm always like looking at it like,
come on.
Did you lose that trade? Like, come on, lose that
No.
thing, man. Like, come on. No, it's funny, but all right. This last one I got here. This is also a Devy league. If anybody doesn't know the name Justice Haynes, I suggest hitting up 247, doing a little bit of research and checking out who he is. He's a freshman running back for Alabama. Over 200 pounds, like 5'11", just the prototypical type you want. Definitely shorter, stockier, low center of gravity. Seems like a workout, just fiend. Guy. He seems really into everything. So I'm pretty into Justice Haynes, but I'm moving him in this deal because I have a contender that I went 0 running back on. I have just David Montgomery. We have to start 2 running backs, and Antonio Gibson goes down, and I really am just thin in general. After that, I have Justin Jefferson on IR. Really good roster. I'm in like 3rd place, I think. And I just felt like I've been trying to trade some Devies, trying to get rid of some low end assets, and Justice Haynes is a 2026 prospect, right? So this is going to be years before I would ever see any return on him. So I figured, look, this is what it ended up coming down to because I couldn't find anybody else, and yeah, maybe sometimes those are bad deals to make, but I moved Justice Haynes and a 4th round pick for Najee Harris.
Yeah, I'm not the best brilliant Devy mind just yet, but I understand value there. And for what you're trying to do with your team, trying to add some more points to your roster that's contending, you said you're in 3rd place. Justice Haynes may or may not actually be a thing, which we have to really realize. Like it's even more thin of a chance that he is a thing than your typical dynasty 2nd round running back. Like, because that guy actually got drafted in the NFL. We don't even know if Justice Haynes will get outplayed by a different player next year, the year after. Things happen. He breaks his shit, whatever. This seems like a very safe thing to do. And yeah, I mean, I'm not all for like trading for Najee in general, but I do like it. I wonder if there's some other running backs you could have got out there to get, but I think you won this trade though.
Yeah, I was.
There's a chance that in 2 years we don't even know who Justice Haynes is.
Yeah, and I've been pressing like I'm pretty aggressive and active, and I've been pressing real hard for weeks and weeks and weeks trying to just get deals done, and I've been like, it's funny when you're a contender, at least when I'm a contender, I generally like every couple days exhaust like looking at everybody in the league and like options that I could trade for that make sense for everybody. And like at some point you do get to a crossroads where you're like, nobody's going to trade for any of my stuff right now. Like it's not going to happen because they don't need to, they don't want it. And like, there's only certain people who are after your pieces at some level. So this one I think was just one of those situations where the league kind of knew what I was doing, didn't want to give me anything, and it just kind of got tough where they didn't want my stuff. I don't only have so much left. But at the end of the day, I think you're right. And the person who traded for him said the same thing. And we were very honest with each other. I was like, dude, that offer just makes me want to throw up when I first look at it. But I'm like, but I do also kind of like want to do this. And he's like, yeah, necessary evil. And it's like, he's like, yeah, Justice Haynes could be a 1st round pick, but he could also be a 2nd round pick or a 3rd round pick, or he could be nothing. And it's like, yeah, it's true. He could be all of those things. And they have Richard Young on that roster. They have Jason McClellan still there. They have another guy like this. I forgot his name. I have him on the same Devy roster. They have another running back there. They have like 4 running backs there. So some, chances are that he's not going to be the only one that produces, and he's just this, elite stud. So I like getting a guy like Najee who is, former Alabama back. He's honestly, if this guy ends up being Najee, you'd be happy. You know what I mean? As much as you don't like Najee Harris, I think you do have to acknowledge that. And Najee feels a little bit like David Montgomery to me, to be honest, in that everybody wants to say that he's just a terrible, terrible running back. And then all of a sudden he's on a different team that utilizes his skill set the way they should, the way it's meant to, and he's just an absolute stud. So now I'm not saying that Najee is exactly David Montgomery. I think Montgomery is still a little bit more explosive, but I think that some of that is going on with Najee, where we've just gotten like sick and tired of being sick and tired of the shit, and like he's sick and tired of it too. He's frustrated with the team too. So it makes sense that we are as well, and we're a little down on him. But just something to keep in mind.
Excellent. Anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
We had a full show today, brother. We crushed it.
It's good though. It's very good.
It is. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoy.
Thanksgiving.
You enjoy it with your family, and hope all the listeners enjoy it with their family as well.
Yeah, it's your baby's first Thanksgiving. That's cool. You gonna dress her up as a little turkey, little butterball?
Yeah, I think we got like a little kind of like, I don't think it's exactly that, but I think it's supposed to look like that kind of, and it's gonna be the first time she meets a bunch of the family too, so it's gonna be interesting. Like, it'd be cool.
Awesome, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
take it in.
Well,
all right, everyone. Thanks for giving us a listen. Follow us on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Dynasty Underdog, at Uriah Dawkins, at Willie Beeman DFF. Join our Discord. It's free. It's fun. I think the shows you can check out on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify if you can. Other than that, have a good night.
Later.